Hey, hi, hello. You are listening to UW Comedy Hour on Rainy Dog Radio. UW Comedy Hour airs every Saturday at 9 a.m., available at rainydawg.org. If you can't listen in at 9, go to UW Comedy Club's YouTube channel, see older radio episodes and full performances from members. To hear more, you can follow Rainy Dog on Instagram at rainydawg dog. UW Comedy Club is the best and only stand-up comedy club at UW. To hear more from us, including performer highlights, show schedules, and meeting info, follow us on Instagram at UW Comedy Club. We have meetings in Savory Hall 136 every Wednesday at 6:30, and there is absolutely no experience required. So write a check for a single payment of $29.99, feed it to a goose and drumheller fountain, and come on down. Comedy Club is having its first comedy show of the quarter this upcoming Monday, October 25th. It's at 7 p.m. in the Ethnic Cultural Center, and the tickets are $3. Today in the Not studio to help me talk about it, we have the newest innovation in artificial crypto electric scooter currency intelligence, brought to you by a joint venture between Pete's Coffee, AT&T, Halliburton, Whalen, Yutani, Ivan.
Hi, that's a great intro for me, I think. It's very fitting.
Just word salad if someone wants to pick through that.
Yeah. If anybody like me notices that last bit from Alien, it's like the archetypal evil company
Oh yeah.
that does not have your best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm. No, they really don't seem to care that much, if I had to say.
They
Now,
are so I think if you're naive, you would say that is ridiculous how evil that company is. It's not that ridiculous.
no.
It really isn't.
No, I thought that thread the needle between like the horror, the genre sci-fi fiction. It's great. Real proud
Right.
of myself for that
Oh
one.
no, I thought that was fantastic.
Thank you. So, Ivan, you're a recent join of Comedy Club, right?
I am. I've only been to two meetings in total. I am a first year at UW, so this is my first exposure to a
Mm.
college comedy club. Uh, I went to see your show at Dog Days with the Improv Club as well, and I thought it was fantastic. I said, I gotta try this.
Yeah, how's your time been so far? Also, thank you to everyone who came to the Dog Days show. We had a great turnout.
It was pretty good. My time here, I love UW. It's
Mm.
been a really great time here so far. I have this is my first time, gosh, or no, I should say this is really isn't my first time living away from home. I have done exchange abroad to a different country. I've lived alone for a year. I've been to summer camps. I've traveled down to visit family, extended family, without my nuclear family. And so I can take pretty easily to, living in a new space. I'm lucky that I got good roommates, and I enjoy the school well enough to not be driven insane just yet. But I'm
It's-
taking engineering, so it's only a matter of time.
I feel.
It's been busy, but it's been
Yeah,
giving me
yep,
stuff to do,
yeah.
and I'm really just I'm excited. I think is what I can say.
Mhm.
Mostly is I'm excited. There's so much stuff to do here.
Well, that's good. How's your time? Like, you've only been in two meetings, but how's your time with Comedy Club been so far?
Comedy club has been one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had on campus. I haven't laughed as hard anywhere else at my time here at UW than I have at comedy club, and I guess that's the point. But it has been a lot of fun. I went to the comedy club the first show, kind of with low expectations. I had seen a couple other student-led events, and I was kind of under. They were kind of underwhelming, and so when I went to the show, I went because I didn't have anything else to do, and I ended up being very pleasantly surprised by just how funny you guys were and just how top quality the show was.
Well, thank you. That's literally how I went to my first comedy club show,
Yeah,
which was also a dog day show my freshman year. I don't want to out you, but
no,
are you a transfer or are you a freshman?
I am a transfer. So I went to a
Got it.
community college in my hometown for 2 years,
Gotcha.
and then transferred over here.
Rad. So
Yeah.
no. That sounded derisive.
Oh no,
450. I
I
don't mean
wouldn't
that.
think so. There's
No.
nothing wrong with being a transfer student. I should hope
Oh
not.
no, absolutely not. I just always feel like I'm on guard. Like you're an engineering person. You know that there are people like it who exist who like fully believe in the humanities classes, humanities majors are pointless. And like if it's not like a prestige scholar, if it's not a prestige college, it doesn't matter. Like I'm always worried about like being perceived that way. But
Yeah, uh, humanities are every subject has its own merits,
exactly.
and some are more common nowadays than others, but they are all of equal importance. Um,
Mhm,
I study engineering, but I really also enjoy like writing and
mhm,
gosh, I love philosophy. I've only taken two classes at community college, but those were a lot of fun. I mean, I am not all about one subject. Each is important. Each is
mhm.
enjoyable.
Yeah, and people who mock or people who don't see that, it's just like you're locking yourself off from experience. But
Mhm. And the prestige about
yeah,
a college thing is just, I think
it's
that's
so
silly.
dumb.
It's
It's so dumb.
it's the same thing with high school. Is once
Mhm,
you're out of high school, that moment you realize none of that really mattered in the long run.
mhm,
And I think you know, to a similar in a similar way with college, where like
mhm,
you get a degree either way.
mhm. And that's like that's what's important. What you're able to take away from it. It's just, uh, I feel like some people just want something to feel special about.
Yeah, I think that is what it boils down to, and
Mhm,
who like I think following in people's steps. People like to go to colleges that really famous scientists went to, and it's like
mhm,
you like to imagine that because you're going to the same college that they did, you're going to be just like them.
mhm. Yeah. Oops, that's not how that works.
No,
Ugh,
I can drop out
sorry.
of. I'll drop out of college. Mark Zuckerberg did.
Mark did a lot.
he
I'm
did
not
the
sure.
he did the work. Are you?
Yeah. Well, he did a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff did happen and is continuing to happen. Yes.
Not the same.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you like writing. Have you had any uh I guess the word I would use is luck, but that's only because I haven't been able to write anything right now. You have any writing any sets recently?
uh,
You have a process for writing comedy.
so for writing, not just in comedy but in general, uh, I I started doing it because I had so many like concepts and ideas in my own head, um, and I wanted to find some way to actualize them. But oftentimes, I end up just having those ideas in my head, and then I work on it there. And when I
Mhm.
finally think I've got something, then I jot it down. And so for the comedy sketches that I've done, they've mostly been just me constantly thinking about it in my head, and I don't often put it down into paper until I really feel like it's worth it.
I feel that. I get that. There's definitely something about like when you I kind of do the inverse where I just word vomit everything
Yeah,
where it's I'm throwing all of the spaghetti at the wall all the time and some of it's just raw, you know,
yeah.
not sticking.
I'm not.
So, but there is something like kind of discouraging when you open your notes app and you just see one note with I fucking love candles and no other words in it. You're like, I'm such a fucking idiot. Like, why? This is nothing.
No. Yeah, I think I'm not exactly sure if the way that I come up with this kind of thing is necessarily the best way. Like I
Hmm,
carry around notebooks to jot down notes. I don't know why I don't do it. At
hmm,
it and just saying that I've thought of something doesn't necessarily mean all that much. And I think I would develop my ideas better if I did write them down. Having something a little more concrete there, I think, would
hmm.
help in that writing process. It's something I think I need to make a habit out of,
Yeah,
uh,
I feel that.
for comedy and writing anything else in general, usually.
Hmm. It's hard to find the time. I've tried to do that too. I find that like it's easier for myself to start a task, even if it's something that like I want to do,
Yeah.
by tricking myself into starting. So like I embroider. So if I'm like, oh, I'll watch a YouTube video and then I trick myself into starting working on a project while I'm watching that video, I can just go for it. Right. but it's like I have to lead into it. So I've been trying to do that with like writing and set writing by like, oh, I'll keep a journal. But like it's hard to like find time to like integrate that new hobby.
For me, it's like I have to set some kind of scene up before I do any writing where
Hmm.
like I have to make myself a cup of coffee or tea, have something to eat on the side, and have some music playing, and then sit down and be comfortable in saying, "Okay, let's start writing." Um,
Hmm. The
I
montage can start now. I've set the scene.
exactly. For me, like, and I don't know. Think this is a great. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just what it is. It's like I have to like imagine like it has to be picturesque, I guess to say, which is
I
silly,
get
and
that.
it's not a productive way of doing it. But
Mm.
um, it's just kind of the way I've done it as.
Mm. I feel like even if something doesn't feel like ideal right now, I don't think there's like a go to best way or like even like a solid wrong way to do any of this unless your way is, oh, I'll just steal. I feel like that is the one way that is wrong.
I
But
yeah, absolutely. No, stealing
yeah,
is
it's different for different people.
it's not great, and you can
Do you find your comedy or your writing in general like sticking to any topics? Do you see anything that like comes up often?
not
Specifically in comedy, but like if you want to branch out from that.
so. Starting with my comedy, starting with that, not
Mhm.
really. I've again, like we've said, I've only been part of the comedy club for 2 meetings, and so
Mm,
I haven't really had a theme that
mhm,
can be seen. Um, the first one that I did was about like electronics, neuroscience, and big tech companies. Um, and then the next one that I had was about horror movies. And the one that I'm currently thinking about is communal bathrooms. So I don't think I really have that much of a theme. Um, I think it's something that I'll find more once I keep working on writing this stuff. As for writing other things, I'm a huge sci-fi and fantasy nerd. I read a lot of mythology books, and so if I'm coming up with an idea for that, it's like a fantasy novel, if anything.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. I feel like finding like a theme in comedy, I don't feel like that's. I feel like some people hit on that, but like, what's the difference between a theme and a crutch for some comedians, you know?
right. It's
Not saying that those who have like things they go back to, it's always a crutch, but.
it's yeah. No, I
And
mean like it can be either like a reliable source of comedy,
yeah,
or it can be a tired dead horse.
yeah.
Uh,
Where it doesn't really matter what topics you hit. It's not like you have to have a cohesive body of work.
no, not really.
Hmm.
I think it's for me right now. It's just well, I guess to say if I'm coming up with comedy, I want to start with, and this is good for any kind of writing, is starting with what you know.
Hmm.
I can't make jokes about a whole lot of things that I haven't experienced, and so the tech company thing that was something that I really was thinking about. The horror movie
Hmm.
thing was a story that had happened to me. The communal bathrooms thing is just something that I think is is very silly that's been happening to me and has
Hmm.
been something that I think I could make a funny story out of and keep it true as well.
Hmm. If I can get right up my own ass about this for a second, Jon Stewart has a quote where it's like, "Being good at stand-up comedy just means that you're good at authentically being yourself." Like seeing people try to joke or try to write in general about things they don't know about, or like even if they haven't personally experienced them, if they haven't like put in the time to learn about them, it just kind of hurts.
Mhm. I think like if somebody's telling a joke and if somebody's telling a joke and they don't put themselves in the joke, it's not
Mm,
as funny.
yeah.
uh, you say like I'm in this situation and you make a joke out about that stand up situation. It's kind of funny. It is funny. It's
Yeah,
less
or if it's
so
not that, it's
less
it's putting your own spin on something,
e-
your own point.
exactly. Yeah, it's a good way of seeing it.
Yeah. I think you leave some of yourself in everything you do.
Oh sure.
Like it always flakes off.
Oh yeah. Even if the story isn't about you,
Mhm.
you change it in the way that you tell it. Uh, you might not like a part of the story, and so you change that, however so slightly, to make it more of your own.
And also at its base level, it's something you came up with.
Exactly.
So, like, what you decide is a good action, a bad action, what you decide is like worthy of scorn, worthy of praise. What characters are good and what characters are bad and what makes them that way. That's you.
Exactly.
It's fingerprints all over it,
It
always.
it can't not be you.
And it can't.
How do you write something about somebody else and get to that same deep level of like
Hmm.
it's not as authentic.
Yeah. And I really do think there are some authors who are like better at hiding themselves in the piece. And there are some who like, oh, it's just like if it was this person just telling you this with words, you'd understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like it's so blatantly them that like if you read it with no name attached, you kind of feel it. Like
Yeah.
some Stephen King works are like that, where you can really see him in it.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of Chuck Palahniuk works are like that.
In
The
book
joke is like,
in books and in movies as well, every
oh yeah.
artist has their own signature. I think one of my favorite directors, uh, Wes Anderson. Yeah, Wes
Mhm.
Anderson. His style of movies are so distinct that, like, if you didn't tell me it was a Wes Anderson movie, I'd know immediately, even if you didn't
We
tell
love a strong DOP. We love a strong DOP.
me. We do. We love it.
Yeah. What do you do outside of comedy club?
School,
Oh, we know you, right? But what do you?
a lot of school.
Yep. Yes. Uh huh.
That really is.
Yeah.
That really
I
is it.
feel that as someone who literally yesterday quit my job because of class stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's
Yeah.
university is just it's so much, and three
Hmm.
courses I thought I was taking an easy amount. I really am not. I mean, comparatively to the rest, yes, it's easy, but it's still a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. Uh to get in the weeds with this, what engineering type are you
I'm
again?
going
Are
for
you
mechanical
EE?
engineering.
Yes. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And
But
so that's actually well, something else that I'm doing outside of school is I'm also in the robotics club.
nice.
And so I was really happy to get into that. Robotics is why I went into mechanical engineering. It's because I
Mhm.
really enjoy that kind of thing. I always find it really fascinating, and I was really excited to get in.
Well, congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I've had experience with some engineering clubs on campus, and there's definitely like a range about like how well they're run and how enjoyable they are to be in.
Hmm.
But like being somewhere where you can have like hands-on work with like past just like classwork, but like actual machines is awesome. If you're interested in robotics, you should look up, and this is kind of similar, Husky Adapt.
Husky Adapt. I haven't heard of that yet.
It's it's a club where they have these like meetups every month where you basically you modify children's toys so disabled kids are able to use them easier.
Oh, that's
Because a
great.
lot of children's toys like you have to interact with in a certain way to have them interact back.
Hmm.
And like for some children with some like physical disabilities, they're physically unable to do that. So Husky Adapt like figures out ways and like actually like solders and drills in and like changes the toys to so more kids are able to use them, and then they donate them,
That's
and it's a
amazing.
really great club.
That is
Yeah.
really great. Yeah. I for a minute you said like "Yeah, it's another club." I'm like, I don't know if I have enough time for another
Yeah.
club, but something like once
Yep.
a month, that is
Yeah.
absolutely worth doing.
Yeah, and it just seems like a really great group. Like
Really?
I haven't been able to be a part of it because like I heard about it freshman year and I've been on the email list for 4 years, but every time that they have a sign up, it's always like something is happening. But spreading the word. It seems interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, well, I was gonna say something else about the engineering. I think one
Mhm.
thing that I love about engineering is, especially like when it comes to engineering design, is and with robotics as well, and building a robot is like, and it goes back to writing. I have ideas and things in my imagination. With engineering, it's like the opportunity to put those things into
Mhm.
reality. I think that's something that I just really love doing, and I think everybody loves doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is making their ideas real. It's just such an exciting
Mhm.
feeling, and that's kind of why I got into that.
Mhm. Even if it's past engineering, I feel like there's making your ideas into something physical and just making something physical at
Mm.
all. Like for me, cooking. I love cooking. I love being able to make something and then have something and especially be able to like enjoy that thing and give it to other people.
I
Multiple times like I've made food for roommates and then just kind of stood there when like, "Oh, this is really good." Like I'm
I
like,
I
"Nice."
enjoy
The
cooking as well. It's something that I was trying to get into more often,
Yeah.
until I came to the dorm.
Yes.
There is no stove on the floor. It's just a microwave.
Yours is so valid. I remember living in the dorms. This is kind of embarrassing. So, freshman year when I'm living in the dorms, I am taking this class called like Cows and History and Culture.
Cows?
Yes, it's a very interesting class. Cows and History and
I
Culture.
bet.
Super interesting. But like one of the books we read opens up with like really rhapsodizing about a steak that they had at a restaurant. And I realized that for the past 3 months, I had been eating plain oats with hot water and peanut butter, 2 pieces of pizza,
Oh,
one cheese and one specialty from
yeah, I love
Pagliacci's,
that.
and an egg I made in like a little cup in the microwave every single day,
Oh.
and like not anything else. Like maybe some fruit if I'm feeling risky about it, but nothing else. So I like in a fugue state go to H Mart, buy like a $4 thing of like stew beef,
Oh
cook
man.
it in a frying pan with no salt and no oil and no anything. It's just meat and it's the grayest thing I've ever seen. And I'm just like, I'm taking it out of the pan and just fully eating it, like
Oh,
in the middle of the
oh my
kitchen.
god.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever had.
I think,
Oh,
yeah, it's been hard, I think, for me to adjust to going from cooking meals at home to
mhm.
only microwaving things. Like I had some I brought oatmeal with me to microwave for breakfast. Um, Ramen for dinner. I can only eat that for so long without going insane.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've got fruit with me. I've got some cheese as well, but it's something that I have to get used to.
Mhm.
The pizza.
One of the things I was most excited about when I moved out of the dorms was to have a kitchen
I
again.
bet. Yeah.
And not just that, like I don't know, a cooking space that wasn't shared with 100 people.
No, the I remember hearing about there's a kitchenette in Haggett Hall, and I thought, oh, cool. I wonder, like, every once in a while I can make something. And I see what the kitchenette is. It's a fucking sink and a microwave. Oh, like that's not a kitchenette.
Oh,
I swear, where's the stove? It's a sink and a microwave. There's no soap or anything, no towels.
that's a. I just love like a raw ass
And it's,
sink, like none of the required sink accoutrement,
no,
just a
and
sink.
it's not even like a good sink. Doesn't even have like a food disposal. It's got a net to catch the spare ramen noodles that people pour down the sink, and it's
Awful,
disgusting because
awful.
I'll go there to clean the dishes that I have, and like the drain is filled with ramen noodles and like bits of like homemade stew and stuff like that. It's disgusting. It's like, ah,
Yep. I
clean up
remember
after
walking
yourself.
into the kitchen. Yes, where I remember walking to the kitchen in I lived in Terry fifth floor 2 years ago. I'm calling you right out. Where it looked like someone had taken like 2 eggs and just smashed them on the counters and walked away. And that was the most where I wanted to just like burst out of the kitchen and go, "Who did
Ooh,
this?
ooh.
Who thinks this is
Oh my
okay?"
god, the microwave. I don't know what's up with that thing. I think the microwave's on full power because if you put anything in there, like I had oatmeal where it's like you pour the oats in the bowl, pour water in the bowl, stir that up, put it in the microwave for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And like by minute two, that shit is boiling out of the bowl
Oh
onto the
my
plate in the
god.
microwave. And so like I always remember to bring a towel with me to clean that stuff after if it does come out of the bowl, which I try not to let that
Yeah.
happen. Um,
Because you're a good person. Yeah.
because I like cleaning up because I like clean things.
Yeah.
Um, I've come to that microwave every once in a while, and I've seen on the plate like some sauce spread over the plate, or like ramen water on the plate, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why is it so hard to like take the plate out, rinse it off, and set it back in? I'm not asking you to.
Or even like do something easier, put a paper towel on
I
top of it.
know.
Even like the gentlest, hey, I care about other people even a little bit.
What
Ugh,
really pisses me off is when I go to the communal bathrooms, and don't even get me started on the communal bathrooms, but
I'm gonna get you started.
the
No,
toilets.
give us a taste of your bit that you're
Okay,
writing.
yeah. So look, there's a lot of things. There's so many reasons to hate communal bathrooms. It never smells good. It always smells like shit, and that's probably for a reason because you shit there. Um, but okay, first of all, the toilets. How hard is it to flush the toilet? It really is not that hard. I know it's not that hard because I do it. But every goddamn time that I open the stall, there are logs of shit and toilet paper in that bowl. And it's like, what? Were you in such a hurry that you couldn't flush the toilet? I don't understand what the
I
problem
feel
is.
like there are just some people when they leave their house and they know that their mom won't yell at them, they're like, oh, there are no
She'll
rules.
do it.
I can do whatever I
She'll
want
flush the
now.
toilet for me. No biggie.
Someone will figure it
So
out. Like,
I'll come back to this and it'll be fine. So why even worry about it?
all I know is that no one's gonna yell at me personally, because no one's gonna know it
It's
was me.
entitled.
We're good here. Oh my god. It may have been Haggett where
Probably was.
one of my friends used to live in Haggett a couple years ago, and she put on her like Snapchat story an email that got sent out to everyone who lived in Haggett where it just says, "Hello residents. Please stop throwing up in the stairwells. It's happened too
Has it?
much."
Oh God!
Where like, oh, you don't get that email if someone throws up
No,
once or twice. It's a pattern
like
that someone's like, well, obviously they need to know. That implies that they thought where it's like they just think this is where they go do that.
I. Somebody has a problem, man. That's just not right.
Someone is
Someone is
sick.
sick.
They're
That's
ill.
what that is. Like, is going up the stairs making you that sick? If that's the case,
You don't have to run that fast up the
well, take the
stairs. No one's
elevator, man.
making you. Is it the going in a circle thing? Are you dizzy? You don't have to
Oh,
run. No one's making
no,
you.
no. Oh,
Just want to talk. Let's just talk
my
about it.
roommate came back drunk the other day from a frat party, and he was about to throw up all over the dorm. And I said, Cody, don't do that. Please don't, man. Uh,
Nope.
just lie down, get maybe a bowl by your face, but please don't throw up
A trash can, take the bathroom, do something. We're going to be closers tonight.
anything. Come
We're going to
on.
figure it out.
Um, oh gosh, if I not saying who he is, but I have to at some point come up with a bit about my roommate because there is plenty of material for that. With
Oh,
any
yeah.
roommates, there's material for a stand up.
Oh, yeah. Roommate bits are great. I had an awful roommate
Yeah.
freshman year, and the two good things I can take from that experience were she gave me a Nintendo Switch because no, it was a 2DS because she had an
That's so
extra.
great.
And it's so funny. The things she did were so funny. A quick highlight reel. She let a bird into our room and it shit on my things. Her boyfriend would constantly be in her room and take his shoes and socks off and sit on her bed. They would not talk to each other or like even do PDA, which would have been better. She would meow at him and he would respond back as if she was saying words. She stayed up super late at night, every single night, playing Dead by Daylight and League of Legends, screaming. She went to class 4 times the whole year. I had a loft bed. I'm gonna stop soon because there's so many
Oh
of
yeah.
these. I had a loft bed. She reached up into the bed to grab my wrist one day. That was awful. She tried to give my name away. Like, this isn't even all of them. This is just part of them. There's so many more. She sang like a ghost every single day. It's so much, and it's so funny.
I know.
But like,
I've been with my roommates for 4 weeks, and I have 9 months with them. So there's going to be some great stuff going on.
Great stuff. Maybe some emails. Hey, roommates.
I think he's pretty easy to talk to, which is just
That's
fine. But that's actually funny. He's the opposite of one of your problems with your roommate, because he sleeps way too much, and he sleeps loud. I mean, it's like I have my headphones on. It's supposed to be noise canceling, and I hear from all the way across the room is
awful. I was gonna say want, but I feel like the word really is need. A t-shirt that just says play hard, sleep loud.
That's fitting. That's good. Right.
Stay tuned, because when Ivan and I get back, we're going to be talking about some terrifying topics. Show promotion and synergy.
Oh,
whoa!
God, go! Hey, Tom, it's Bob from the office down the hall. It's good to see you, buddy. How have you been? Things have been okay for me, except that I'm a zombie now. Really wish you'd let us in. I think I speak for all of us when I say I understand why you folks might hesitate to submit to our demand. But here's an FYI, you're all gonna die screaming, all we wanna do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable, I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I don't wanna nitpick, Tom, but is this really your plan? Spend your whole life locked inside a mall. Maybe that's okay for now, but someday you'll be out of food and guns, and you'll have to make the call. I'm not surprised to see you haven't thought it through enough. You never had the head for all that bigger picture stuff. But Tom, that's what I do, and I plan on eating you slowly. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're not unreasonable, I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes. All we wanna do is eat your brains. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I'd like to help you, Tom, in any way I can. I sure appreciate the way you're working with me. I'm not a monster, Tom, well, technically I am. I guess I am. Got another meeting, Tom. Maybe we could wrap it up. Know we'll get to common ground somehow. Meanwhile, I'll report back to my colleagues who were chewing on the doors. I guess we'll table this for now. I'm glad to see you take constructive criticism well. Thank you for your time. I know we're all busy as hell. And we'll put this thing to bed when I bash your head open.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
We're not unreasonable. I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
We're at an impasse here. Maybe we should compromise. Open up the doors. We'll all come inside and eat your brains.
We are back. That was Your Brains by Jonathan Colton. And I am here with Ivan to talk about Comedy Club's first show of the year, Attack of the Killer Comedians. The show is this upcoming Monday, October 25th, 7 p.m. at the Ethnic Cultural Theater, and tickets are $3. Ivan, are you performing in this show?
I'm not. I was really excited to be a part of the show. I sent an email saying, "Yeah, I'd love to," almost immediately, until I found out that I have other responsibilities to go to. And I was unhappy to write that email saying, "I take it back. I can't do it." If anything, I have the relief of not having to write a very high quality skit because that's a bit scary.
Yes. I'm the same way where I never signed up for this show, partially because of Dog Days and because all the other shows have been online, and Comedy Club is still going during Zoom College, but it feels different. So really only the core members were more active. Core members, we don't have core members. Sorry about that. But I've been performing a lot and I don't want to right now. Also, like I said, I just quit a job because I need to do school stuff. I am busy.
You can't spend time for everything. But I was unhappy to miss out on last week's Comedy Club session because I had work to do, and I have to make a choice here.
Things always happen, and you gotta treat yourself. You have to prioritize things over other things.
That happens.
It happens.
Yeah, but no, I wish as well I could see the show. Maybe I can come in late and watch it, but nah, I'm not gonna be part of the show. Shame to say.
Yeah, things happen. But this will not be the only show. We're gonna have a lot of other great shows this quarter and beyond. Super excited for that.
That's good to hear.
Yes, but in a great plan of brand integration, our poster probably has been posted to Instagram by now. And again, that Instagram is at UW Comedy Club. Please look at it. It's incredible. It's so good. Our actual next guest on the radio show made it. It looks so good. The show is Attack of the Killer Comedians. Let's talk about horror movies.
It is. It's amazing.
It's a really good poster.
Amazing.
It's so
Let's
good.
talk about horror movies. I'd love to.
Do you have any favorites? I've been dipping in. I've been finding favorites.
Got some favorites. One of the I have a lot of favorites. Favorite of all time is an H.P. Lovecraft movie. It's pretty recent too. It's The Color Out of Space. Got Nick Cage in it, who I love.
Yes.
That was a very special movie theater experience for me because I bought the ticket, I went to the theater, and the entirety of the movie, I was the only one watching it. There was no one else in the cinema, and that was a lot of fun because I got to react to the movie in every way that I wanted without having to bother anybody. That was fun. And that's such an amazing movie. The colors are so striking. The acting is not always the best, except from Nick Cage. Fantastic.
Yes. Nick really has leaned into the joke used to be where it's he just kind of yells, and now he's he just kind of yells and we all love it. Have you seen Mandy?
Oh my
If you like
gosh,
Color to Space,
Mandy
you will love
nuts.
Mandy.
That's such a mind
Oh
fuck.
my god. Yes. Mandy is one of those movies where like you have to be in a headspace for it, and you should probably Google it
Yeah.
first. Like, here's a literal thing I have done. I've watched the movie Hereditary on 3 different
Oh
first dates,
wow.
which I do not recommend
If you're
doing.
gonna watch a horror movie on a date, I think it's best to go with like a slasher or something. Yeah,
Ginger Snaps,
something
Halloween,
something a little more, I
Scream,
think, mainstream that people will understand. Hereditary is not one of those. Um,
a slow burn film about grief? Maybe not.
I
Maybe not the pick. Maybe not the cute snuggle movie
If
that you
you've
think
seen
it
the movie It
is.
Comes at Night, I showed that to a group of friends, and I love that movie. They did not, because they're like, "Where's the monster?" Well, that's the point. There's no monster. That's
That's
what
the
it is.
point, guys.
That I love.
It's building
Exactly.
suspense.
I think
Just
The
don't
Color Out of
get
Space
it.
is a good one to show to friends. I think people love Nick Cage,
Hmm.
and it's it's an amazing. I think it's a great movie. I loved it. Uh,
For people who aren't aware of the core story, Color Out of Space is based on H.P. Lovecraft's story. There's a family living on a farm. A meteorite lands. Bad things happen because the meteorite is evil, and it's a spooky color. It's great. I love in this movie that visually they went with like, yes, the scary color is a bright hot
it's
pink, which is my favorite
I
part of the
think it
movie.
gives it a strong visual imprint.
Hmm.
And somebody had an idea where it was like the entire movie's in black and white except for the color from space. I think that would have been a great way to convey that it's not a color no one's ever seen, that it's a color no one's ever seen before,
Hmm.
because that's kind of hard to do. Um, how do you represent a
Yeah,
color
I
that
feel
doesn't
like
exist?
that's a big problem in a lot of adapting H.P. Lovecraft's works, which so much of the time when he describes something as very scary, he says like
Right.
indescribable, like it would shock your mind. You can't fully comprehend it. So when you try and put it into a visual framework, if you want to show it, you have to comprehend it because you have to explain it to a set designer and a costume designer or like a
Right.
visual effects person. Like you gotta
That makes it
comprehend
pretty
it.
tricky.
Also, while we do this, yes, H.P. Lovecraft was a terrible, terrible
Oh,
racist, and I like how people use his ideas now. And also the fact that, like, there's kind of an enclave of queer non white people who are really taking his, like, base stories and base mythos and doing amazing things with it. And I know
yeah,
he would
but
hate that. So
it's
that makes me
great that we can
happy.
take it back from him. I think it's great. This is a
Hmm.
great instance where the person who made these things was a horrible guy, but he
Yeah,
made good stories, and that's
yeah,
it's great that you can take that and forget about the guy that wrote them. I mean, yeah, he
yes.
was not a great guy. The cat, the
No.
the cat.
The cat. The cat, the everything, the thinking gay people didn't exist. The weird, like, just
He
an awful
used
man.
all of the evil cults in his stories were always of people like minorities. It was poor off people. Um,
Yeah.
the heroes are always
Yes.
these well off white people. No, it's not.
Yes.
He didn't like it wasn't a lot of slander and like it wasn't slander in these stories, but it was these really bad stereotypes. It was
It was distinctly coding, but coding
exactly
of the time. So now when you read it, like, I read it when I was like, first when I was
yeah,
like 13, right? There's an incredible, I forget the actual title of it. There's an incredible, like, graphic novel that's in like shortened version of H.P. Lovecraft stories, and they have different people draw or illustrate
okay,
each story, and it's incredible. And like that's what got me into it. That's what made me like fall in love with these, having those visuals and seeing these. When you're reading them when you're like 13 and you don't know about this, you can really like slip right by all of that coding. But when you know anything, you can't. Yeah, one of his quotes I think is like the deepest human fear is fear of the unknown. Turns out what H.P. Lovecraft didn't know a lot about
he didn't know a
non-white
lot about he
people.
didn't know about a lot of
Ooh,
things. That's the thing is I think he was so scared of everything that he didn't know, and he didn't know a lot, and
yes.
that makes for great stories. But it's
Hmm.
a terrible human behavior. Um,
Yeah. And really, the best things inspired by his work will always always be better than what he
Absolutely.
actually did. Like, The Thing is a deep, like, back to horror movie favorites. I
Oh
love the
yes,
movie The
amazing.
Thing. So,
It
like,
took me so
so,
long to work up the courage to
ugh.
watch that movie in full.
It's so good. It's so good. It holds up, and it's like the intensity of it at
The
the time.
the amount that you
It's,
don't know, the amount of questions
and,
that you have. I love having
mhm,
those questions.
yes. Yes. And the concept of, like, I think horror is one of the first things to age, because, like, horror is, as a genre, is so deeply
Mm.
trend driven, where it's like one movie will be make a lot of money and everyone's like, oh, it's just kind of like a genre film, we don't really have to care about the artistic license of these, let's just make 1,000 Saw movies. And it just kind of tires out the trope. So, like, if you see Scream now, it's different than seeing Scream when it came out, because, like, the concept of, like, a horror comedy movie where, like, they're making fun of horror movies, like, that's been done to death. But when Scream came out, it was the first one to ever, like,
When
touch on that.
I when horror franchises, I tend to not be crazy about, because horror should scare
Yeah.
you. And there are
Yeah.
some horror series of movies that I still am always scared of. One of my
Mhm.
favorite horror series is The Conjuring, and there are a lot of those movies. Each one of those are quality films, and they are each scary. But like when it comes to something like Friday the 13th or Halloween, um, when they do it over and over and over again, it becomes hard to be afraid because you've seen it
Mhm.
before. It's just different people.
And I think it's like they keep making them because it is like, I feel like people really get
Mm.
attached to the characters, and they know that, like, oh, if we make another one of these, like, Halloween Kills, they're making another Scream that's coming out in January, which
Like
is
in the
the
fucking
funniest
TV
thing to
show.
me.
Yeah.
Ooh, like they know that people really love these characters, and that they'll keep coming to watch. But, like, there's still, like, the fact that, like, even in this space, it's been very,
Yeah.
like,
I think
genre
it's I
gutted.
think
The fact that, like, people can still make
I think that's what
incredible
it
new
is that
things.
like people are coming for the killers. Um and like
Mhm.
you're almost kind of rooting for the killers sometimes because you know
Oh yeah.
there it's fun to watch them kill people. I guess that's what those slasher movies are about, is it's
Mhm.
fun to watch those people get killed.
For, like, horror tropey movies, I don't enjoy the physical experience of
Mm.
being scared. Something I'll tell a lot of friends is the first time I ever watched Hereditary, I watched it like a big group of friends. We annexed a lounge in Terry Hall. Like, people were making dinner and we were just watching Hereditary, and they left.
Oh,
Huh, they didn't have to. We didn't make them. But so we took that over, and I was just watching the movie, and, like, my hands were
mm.
clenched so tight that, like, when I opened them up when the movie was over, my fingers were pruny because of how much they were sweating. That's how, like, deeply
Oh gosh.
uncomfortable I was. There were several points in that movie watching experience where I needed to, like, I need to use the bathroom, and I would just fucking pace because I needed to calm down. I don't like feeling
Yeah.
physically unsafe. But so for the longest time, the only way I could get myself to watch a horror movie, I'm like, okay, it's both scary, but it's also
Yeah.
a good movie. So I have to watch it because it's
I think
a good movie, even though it's scary. So, like, It Follows will freak me out forever,
I
but it is a
cannot watch
good
that one.
movie.
That one terrifies me. I do my
Oh,
best to forget it. Watching, yeah,
so good.
watching horror movies is very tiring. Because you're like, if you're
Yes.
watching a lot of horror movies one by one, you're like, at a certain point, you're like, I don't know how much I can go on. I don't know how many times my heart can,
Yep.
like, just jolt.
It's a physically
It really
engaged
is.
experience. And, like, sometimes being scared is great. I feel like when it's a shaped scare, when, like, you can tell that they cared about it, but I am easy to startle, like a deer. Once my roommate rounded a corner too hard and I dropped everything I was holding.
we
Or, like, I'd walk out of a door and someone would be standing there and I'd just yell. So, like, I know if someone plays a loud sound or, like, shows me a scary picture of a ghost, I will be freaked out, but then I will be mad because I don't feel like they
yeah.
earned it.
Uh, I I'm pretty good at scaring people, I think. Uh, So,
This is fucking foreshadowing, Ivan. I'm just like, I'm skittish like an animal. And you're like, I can test that. I can tell.
and maybe
I sense your
I
weakness.
think I'm pretty good at like, like I'll find a corner and like I'll hide in that, and then I'll wait for somebody to pass by. And I'm pretty tall, so like if you see some like really tall guy right behind you and you turn around, you're like, you'll.
That's like a loom. You're using your
Yes,
height for
that's,
evil.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Hate that. Hate that. Hate that for me. Hate that for your roommates.
I haven't done it that much to them, just once.
Yeah. Once, but you know that once is enough to
yeah.
always expect it. Like, if one time one of my, like, generally pretty short roommates was hiding in my closet, and then they popped out and they're like, happy Halloween. Every single goddamn day I went in my room, I would be assuming that they are still
Yeah, exactly.
there. Every single day. It only takes once.
When my roommate and I, when we first came to the dorm, we did a marathon of each night we would watch a movie in the Conjuring universe, and some of them are fantastic, some of them are not so great, but it was something that I was distinctly thinking about when we were watching one of them, where it's like you're having this build up to this scare, and sometimes that build up takes just so long, and like part of you is like, oh god, I'm biting my fingernails, I'm like, I'm terrified of what's gonna happen. There's another part of you where it's like, get on with it. Like,
just freak me out.
Damn doll already. And like, if they finally do show the doll, and you're like, and again you're like, but then you go, finally.
Yeah, it's done.
I know.
We're done.
Timing's important in horror movies.
Yes. That whole, I had to tap out of the movie It the first time I watched it, and I haven't watched it since because of that feeling. Timing's critical with horror movies. I think that horror and comedy are like deeply related. I've said this multiple times, probably multiple times on this show. Allow me to present my thesis. They're both incredibly reliant on timing. They are incredibly reliant on surprise. Like, if you watch a horror movie the second time with, like, I don't believe in spoilers in general, but, like, when you watch a horror movie the second time and you know, like, when that tension release, when they're going to show you the doll, when you know when that's going to happen, like, it changes the viewing experience.
Yeah, going back and watching some of the Conjuring movies, because I hadn't seen the entire series, but I had seen the first one. Going back and watching that, there were certain scenes where I remember I could not sleep at night after the first time I watched it because they were so scary. The second time around, I was like, is this really that freaky? I don't remember it being... Yeah,
did it just surprise me?
It was just that first time exposure. The same with the jokes. First time you hear a joke is hilarious. Yeah. Second time, not so much. No.
It doesn't hit as hard. Speaking about The Conjuring, I love whenever you hear someone like recommend movies in like a huge long series. I was watching the Hellraiser movies with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we have to watch the first Hellraiser so you can watch the second and the third because those are the good ones, and then you watch the 8th."
I didn't know there was that many.
And then you go back for the 5th. Yes, there's like 13 of them. I just love that there's like 13. I also think there's like 13. Oh god.
There's a lot.
Friday the 13th, at least. I know Jason 10 is Jason in space.
No,
I know that's a literal thing that happened. So I love like whenever there's a huge, like, The Conjuring's not as big, but like how you said where it's like, yeah, there's some good ones and some bad ones. The fact that like it goes on long enough where it's like, okay, 1, 2, 4, 9. Don't watch any of the others.
No, it's like there's the ones that made the series iconic, and then there's the ones that are inevitably going to suck because you make so many, you can't always make them quality. Yeah.
Eventually you run out, and sometimes James Wan just needs to cash a check. Sometimes James just needs some cash.
You can't make masterpieces every time.
No, there's gonna be some losers. To loop it back, look at Nick Cage. There's always going to
Exactly.
be some losers.
I like, though, the talking about the horror and the comedy and how closely they are intertwined. And like you were saying, the structure is the same. The structure is the same way, where there's a build-up and there's a punchline or there's this scare. I think what confuses the two, or like what makes the two different, is the tone eventually. But they are so very
100%.
similar. I mean, not even to mention the fact that if you do it wrong, horror can become a comedy. You know,
Yes.
you watch
Which
something
is
that's supposed
the
to be
best.
scary, and if it's
best.
unintentionally funny, it's hilarious. I mean, we were watching one of the Conjuring films, The Curse of La Llorona, and there's a scene where this girl gets thrown out of a door. She's not like, it's not an arc. She's not thrown in an arc. She just goes in a straight line in the air. And it's like, what? wait. Go back.
She's
Rewind.
just, like,
Go back. What was
force-pushed.
that? And like, you know, some guy facing down a demon and just pulling out a wooden cross going, "Behold, the cross of our Lord!" and getting slammed into a wall. It's like these, and like, you know, it's just hilarious. And I think, and it's like, horror does that so well, more than anything else, is making unintentional comedy.
Oh yeah, everyone. If you were the glancing of a horror buff, you've seen that terrible like Nightmare on Elm Street ending clip where they drag like
Where she's so
you know
clearly-
what it is. So the end scene is supposed to be like Freddy's reaching through like the window in a front door and like dragging someone through it, right? But when they cut to Freddy's arm reaching out, it's so clearly like either a blow-up sex doll or just like a mannequin being dragged like through a window. And it's a really small window because it's a window in the front door. So it's like a dinner plate size. It's so funny.
Like, you can tell how stiff
So
the legs
fucking
are
funny.
and how it's fitting through such a small door. It's like,
how it's like floppy. It's it's so
not scary
fucking
at all.
funny.
That's the last scare of the movie, and it should be terrifying.
They really thought that would do it.
Like that movie,
like
that's not a movie where it's so bad it's good. For the most part, it's a fantastic movie, and it started a very iconic franchise. But like, so you know, the people that were making it were competent. So I had to know what they were thinking because they knew they had to know it was bad.
They had to know. Did they lose their last scene and have to refilm it? Like, speaking here, I have a controversial opinion. I'm not a big fan of like, oh my god, this movie's so bad, let's watch it. Because I feel like a lot of the time when a movie is bad, that just means like it's not fun to watch. Like, here's my opinion. I do not feel like The Room is that fun to watch unless you're like going to a big setting where you're watching it. Like, if you're in that like group setting, that would be fun. But I was just trying to watch it with a friend, and it's like the editing's just kind of bad, and like the dialogue's weird, and like that's kind of fun, but like it's just like really slow.
If you're watching it by yourself,
but
with one other person, it's more embarrassing to watch.
Yes, but when a director really thinks they're doing it and is fully earnest and just fucks up so bad, that's the great part. So, thank you so much for talking to me today, Ivan.
So much fun.
Yes. And thank you everyone here for listening to UW Comedy Hour. Tune in next week at 9, where I'll be picking up, tossing, and talking to Comedy Club's Hardest to Throw member, KB. Make sure to follow Rainy Dawg on Instagram at Rainy, DAWG, for more great radio. Follow at UW Comedy Club on Instagram for show schedules, meeting info, and more. UW Comedy Club has meetings in Savory Hall, room 136, every Wednesday at 6:30, where there is no experience needed to have a good time. Reminder, UW Comedy Club's first show of the quarter, Attack of the Killer Comedians, is this upcoming Monday, October the 25th, at 7 p.m. in the Ethnic Cultural Theater, with tickets for $3. Come. Keep listening to Rainy Dawg Radio to hear a storm full of wind chimes and birds approaching much faster than you thought possible.
You're all gonna die screaming.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
We're not unreasonable. I mean, no one's gonna eat your eyes.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
We're at an impasse here. Maybe we should compromise. compromise. If you open up the door, we'll all come inside and eat your brains